Hello, everyone. I hope we're doing well. This was a pleasant surprise for me. As you may know, I have been teaching my Sudoku course. So, hello to any student setters who are in the audience. Uh, so, uh, so I did not get to do the reaction until class was over. So I came home. We are sort of currently living in the middle of a winter wonderland, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'm ready for the whole winter thing to stop. But I get to hang out with all of you and watch this. So that is it. Hey, Ace of Spades, how are you doing? Ace of Spades, one of the original Sudoku class members. So Selena was saying she's excited to see how Simon does the very end of the puzzle. So there is the me and microstudy way and the Selena way. So we'll see which it is. One of them is pretty and one of them is pretty ugly, in my opinion. So we'll see whether Simon happens to luck into the nice way or the less nice way. Alrighty, let us start this video and see how it goes. So I'm glad you're excited, Calvin Ball. Yeah, I was hoping they would do this one. This is the rare puzzle I actually submitted to Cracking the Cryptic because I wanted to see them do it.
Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and one of life's great treats, because today we are going to do battle with the new puzzle from zetamath called Exclusivity. And I have to tell you, when I first saw this grid, I thought, there is no way that this solves.
I realized I turned up the volume, but it would have screwed up Tristan's information here very carefully.
For this puzzle to have a unique solution. And then I read the rules, and I think I now understand what's going on. And it's a beautiful twist on the rules. And basically the idea is all of these constraints are normal. I will go through them when I read the rules properly. But the sort of conceit here is that no type of clue can have a repeated digit on it. So if we take the thermometers, for example, those all have to be different numbers. If you take the arrows, these all have to be different numbers. And it's such a subtle but brilliant idea to just change it up that way. And look, I snipped.
Remind me at the end of this video, Manu, and I can say what the different ways were, and we'll see. We'll see. One basically is to use law of leftovers, and one is to not use law of leftovers, and to use an exotic triple instead. And of course, I like the exotic triple method, but if you notice the thing, if I had noticed the thing, I would absolutely have done it Selena's way, but I instead had set it up so that it would form a weird triple, which is funny because there was another thermo puzzle that involved an exotic triple that you could either find or not find depending on how persistent you were. And microstudy instantly said, oh, it's just like the ending of Medusa, which several people also skipped that exotic triple. So someday I will have a puzzle with a mandatory exotic triple, but we shall see. I should, I suppose, before going any further, say that when I posted this puzzle, I got a message from Glum Hippo saying, oh, hey, you posted a sequel to that puzzle. And I was like, I don't think I've ever set a puzzle with this rule set before. And then Glum Hippo sent me a link to a puzzle by me with this rule set, which I was like, I have no memory of this puzzle whatsoever. So this marks, I think, a first for me, where I have now set enough puzzles that there are puzzles I have set that I have no memory of basically at all. Like, when I saw the grid, I was like, that kind of looks hazily. Like, I acknowledge I've seen this grid before, but I would not have remembered it at all. So I came up with this idea completely independently twice, apparently, is the conclusion. I assume this is better than the first one, but I have not gone back and done the first one, so I couldn't tell you.
Before I turned on the webcam, some comments about this puzzle, and they are eulogistic. Completely gorgeous, beautiful. It's, great fun, great, excellent. I mean, this is someone saying it tickled their brain. So I'm looking forward to trying this, and I will read you the rules in a moment or two's time. I don't, in fact, have too much original news to tell you about today, so I will mention that there are now not one but two videos featuring Cracking the Cryptic on
this
the
is a very cool
fantastic,
crossover.
maths channel Numberphile.
The CTC
there is one where we talk about
cinematic
the
universe
ring,
and the Numberphile.
and there is one where we talk about Math Guy _12. Math Guy.
Oh, David makes a donation. Belated birthday presents. Thank you. Also to help your snowblower or buy new shovels to dig out of the snow. Thank you, David. Let's get you a donation dance. By the way, if you are a new viewer and you are not acquainted with Zach, this is Zach, the digit dancing penguin, who typically dances for the first digit that I put into each puzzle I solve, but he also dances for donations. He is a very flexible digit dancing penguin. So welcome to all of you who might be new.
_12's incredible Sudoku difference of squares.
Yeah, Eric, I also don't know that I want to be eulogized exactly.
Hey,
Playmaker.
Yeah, so anyway, that is over on Numberphile right now. I'll try and remember to put a link to at least one of those videos on the screen in case anyone is interested.
I think Playmaker was one of the first testers of this puzzle, if I recall correctly.
We've got our January competition running at the moment. We've had thousands of people having a go at that, so very, very well done to those of you who've made your way through it. There's still plenty
Zach
of
is a fan of the
20th,
Winter Wonderland that we live in.
So entries
he gets
in
to
by
go out
then
on the
for a
ice
chance
rink
to
right
win
by
the
our house.
competition. Also over on Patreon, we have my mammoth solve of Roller Coaster Nurikabe, and we are going to put another mammoth solve of Totally Normal Cat's Broken Secrets on the channel quite soon. So that's been a Patreon exclusive now for about a month, and so it seems that there is quite a lot of interest in that going out wider. So
I have not solved Roller Coaster Nurikabe. I don't believe. It doesn't sound familiar, but I mean, you are talking to someone who forgot a puzzle they literally set themselves. So who knows? Maybe I solved it, but I think I would remember it if it was that long of a solve from Simon. But maybe not if it's an older puzzle. I've certainly solved some things. Can you turn the gain down on the mic? I can. How's that? That means spin the button on the microphone, right, Tristan? Just to double check that you're telling me to do the right thing, because I spun the button on the microphone.
Streaming, yes. No, streaming.
Good.
Mark and I are having a nightmare on that. We firstly, we're failing to agree on a date for streaming, and secondly, we're failing to agree on a game to stream. We both sort of enjoyed The Case of the Golden Idol, which we did towards the end of our stream on Chance of Sonar once we finished that, but we weren't blown away by it, so we've been talking about other games. I had a look at something
ringing
called
endorsement.
The Talus. Is it the Talus Principle? It was the Talus something.
The Talus Principle would assuredly make him throw up.
We can't do that. I suggested hex cells, which a number of you have suggested
yes,
to
hex
us
cells would be great.
To Mark, and Mark was
both hex cells and Temetsky, whatever. There's always a consonant in there I miss because I just read the first three letters of any word and just make up the rest in my head. But that one is another one that they would enjoy. But both of them are like fancy Minesweeper, basically.
Was umming and ahhing and has yet to give me the final decision. So we might do that. If not, well, send in your suggestions. Make sure they're not going to trigger any motion sickness for me. And then I've got some birthdays to do. So let me run through those. Eva, over there in Ireland,
Eric points out that hex cells is not very visually exciting, but they are appealing to an audience of people who literally watch Simon solve classic Sudoku puzzles, so I feel like it's at least more visually exciting than a classic Sudoku puzzle.
Germany. I hope I'm saying the name of the town.
But I agree, it doesn't exactly pop off the screen.
Eva's turned a secret age today, so I won't reveal what that is, Eva. But your husband Andreas thought you might like a shout out. So many happy returns. I hope you get chocolate cake. And next,
I don't know if Simon is going to
Iowa in the US to say happy birthday to Jim. And I know it's your birthday, Jim, because your
Jim is in Iowa
Kristen
in the US. Well, happy birthday, neighbor.
Kristen's email revealed, Jim, that you secretly like to compete with the video to see who can get the puzzle done first.
There's a Tristan
I've no doubt
Iowa?
You win quite often.
At least I don't think it's the same
happy
Tristan.
Returns today. Oh, now the last birthday is not really a birthday at all. It's the anniversary of the cat Marnold's rehoming with Paul. So I think Marnold has now been living with Paul for a year. I think before that, Marnold was in the Stray Cat Rescue Centre in Bedfordshire. Now, I have a picture.
Oh, it was Kristen, not Tristan,
Marnold,
I see.
who is a very handsome cat.
Apparently,
indeed.
I only hear the last
Looks quite
3
a
letters
wise
of
cat.
words.
Almost like a totally normal cat, but quite wise.
That does look like a very wise cat.
Paul is celebrating today.
I love that photo.
1 year with Marnold. And Paul, I know you're waiting for other news as well. I wish you all the very best with that. And I don't know whether an anniversary. I don't think cats can have chocolate cake, can they? Probably not. Maybe cat treats. But Paul, you can have chocolate cake, and I hope you're able to have some. Anyway, with all that said and done, let's have a look at the rules to exclusivity and see what the great Zeta has in store for us. These are the rules. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply, so the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Additionally, no digit may appear more than once on a particular clue type. So that's what we've already explained, sort of. And then there's a whole list of clue types. So it says type 1, digits on a purple line form a set of non-repeating consecutive digits in any order. So imagine this digit here was a 1. Then we would know because
the best thing in the world happened today. A bunch of my students were setting Renbon puzzles today. It was very exciting. It was like, what more could I want than for all of my students to set Renbon puzzles? That was delightful. They had many choices. I did not, I promise, bully them into setting Renbon puzzles, but many of them voluntarily chose to set Renbon puzzles. Some of them chose to set negative constraint puzzles.
Because these have to be consecutive, they must be 1, 2, and 3 in some order. The order doesn't matter, but they have to be consecutive and non-repeating, although none of these could repeat anyway. And in fact,
I haven't seen anyone setting a Nabner yet, but a lot of them have solved Nabner puzzles.
8 of the 9 digits, because none of these digits can be repeated, 8 of the 9 digits are going to be used on those purple lines. Type 2, along green lines, adjacent digits must differ by at least 5. So this is normally called German whispers. So if this was a 1, this would be at least a 6. Well, managed to type 7. Well done.
Simon suggesting that I should have them solve flagrante for the final. But fortunately, there is not a final exam. So, Lucky, I gave them a packet with a bunch of examples of common Sudoku constraints, and I tried not to let my own biases shape it too much. So I tried to put I tried to put everything in there, and so some of them really latched onto and liked the negative constraint puzzles that I put at the end. Some of them liked the numbered rooms puzzles. I saw a lot of people setting numbered rooms puzzles today. That there was a lot of palindromes and clones today I saw floating around.
Because it's got to be at least 5 different from 1. So 6, 7, 8, or 9 would be legitimate there.
Yeah, so the example puzzle I set them of a negative constraint was an anti-XV puzzle with 1 V and a few given digits. So I figured that was intimidating enough I should put it at the end instead of the beginning.
Next, type 3. Digits separated by a black dot have a 1-to-2 ratio, meaning one is exactly double the other. It looks like we've got just 2 black dots. So imagine this was a 2. This could be a 4, because 4 is double 2.
I think those two things are logically equivalent,
2
Selena.
is double 1. So one of those things must be true if that is a 2. But then if that was a 2, none of those, you couldn't have a 2 down here. So it gets interesting. My scanning's going to be all over the place today is what I'm thinking at the moment. Now, that's type 3. So type 4.
It was very deliberate, by the way, that there are no clue types for which there are 9 clued cells. Because I wanted, as much as possible, to discourage law of leftovers kind of thinking, because I don't know, I find it a little bit distasteful. So I quite deliberately made it so that most clues there are... so that most clues there are exactly 8.
Digits along a grey thermometer must increase from the bulb end. So imagine this was a 2, this would have to be higher than 2, it could be 4, that could be 7, 2, 4, 7. I nearly typed 6, and then I realised that there was a given 6 in the grid, which is incredibly kind of zetamath.
The given digits also
ever
cannot
get given
repeat
digits anymore. And in fact, my brain has learnt to basically siphon out black digits. It doesn't really see them properly. I see blue digits. I mean, some of you would argue that I don't seem to see them, but I do try and see them. And I do believe my brain registers blue digits, but my brain doesn't really even register this as a given digit, as I'm probably about to show you when we try and solve the puzzle. But anyway, this thermometer 247 is completely legitimate because it's increasing from the bulb end towards the tip.
The given 6 sorts out some stuff at the very end. It's not... the given 6 doesn't really get in the way of anything, so I wasn't too bothered. I used to have all of my puzzles have exactly one given digit because I think that's sort of classy. I maybe slightly would have preferred this one have no given digits, but it didn't really bother me in this case, Lakia. It's sort of it does its job without doing anything super important,
more.
Or without
one more.
getting in the way.
Type 5, digits along an arrow, sum to the digit in that arrow's circle. So if this was 1, 2, 3, 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6, and that would be a legitimate way of filling this arrow. If we change this to a 4, that could be a 9, because 4 plus 2 plus 3 equals 9. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I'm going to immediately hone in on that low-hanging fruit over there because, well, if we filled this with the minimum digits of 1, 2, 3,
added
we know
3
this
killer
is at
cages
least
with
a
unknown
6.
totals.
So that digit there is definitely relatively high. Now, what about then the other thought we could have about that? Because none of those 3 digits can repeat in these 2 digits, we can effectively view these as a sort of quintuple, can't we?
I was really I'm glad he went straight to this. I was really happy figuring this out as a setup because it's a pretty standard deduction if you watch Simon solve a lot of arrow puzzles. But the fact that I was able to sort of like use Sudoku but not Sudoku to set this up was I was happy that this sort of like this is one of my favorite things is sort of like making something old feel kind of new by doing it in a slightly different way.
Each of these yellow cells have to be unique along their arrow. So the minimum sum of the yellow cells would be the triangular number for 5, which is 15. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Now, that's interesting because if these circles have to add up to at least 15, none of them individually can be as low as a 5 because 5 would have to be opposite 10, and 10 isn't a Sudoku digit. So I think that square's got to be at least a 6.
Fun fact, when I was setting this, I just put a circle here and a circle here and just noted to myself that this was going to be a length 3 arrow and this was going to be a length 2 arrow, and just decided that I would decide later how exactly they got disambiguated because I wanted, spoiler, to disambiguate low and high, which is what this does, is to sort out low and high. And I came up with this idea, but I sort of did a trick that at least I learned from Tirganis. I'm sure other setters do this, of like having clues that are sort of like notes to yourself of, well, I'm going to later make this deduction, but I don't need to know exactly how it's set up now. So I'm just going to commit that I'm going to make these arrows later. And that worked out well for this puzzle.
6. But we might be able to do better than that, actually. I'm wondering if this is the digit that we're meant to be focusing on, because we presumably have to have a lot of low digits. I mean, if this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be at least a 6. That would be.
So Simon is not in on the zetamath meta, that the zetamath break-in is always in box 1. Here for and has noticed this. Well, I mean, admittedly, there are giant arrows pointing at it.
6 or 8. That would be 3 or 4. I don't know. Okay, what's the
sometimes
maximum?
Box 8.
Well, yeah, okay. These 2 digits although they don't look like they see each other, they actually have a very close personal relationship. They can't be the same number because we can't repeat digits along types of clue. So we can't double 9 these digits. Ordinarily we could, but we can't here in this puzzle. So the maximum these could be would be a 9-8 pair, which means the maximum yellow could be...
Yeah, I do occasionally... So I'd say 9 times out of 10, the break-in is in box 1. If the puzzle has some sort of lateral symmetry to it, it's usually in box 8. And box 5 is the break-in in a number of my puzzles, but I think most of the puzzles where it's the break-in, there's some sort of circular swirl around it that makes it clear. Hey, Carl.
Is 17. So yellow either adds up to 15, 16, or 17, which I think means it needs to have 1, 2, and 3 within it, because if it didn't, the minimum you could do would be 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, which is 18. So I don't know how to pencil mark it, but within the sort of coterie of digits that make up yellow, we will find the digits 1, 2, and 3, and therefore that digit cannot be 1, 2, or 3, because if it was, yellow would be too big. So this digit, which is a black dot digit, and therefore is not 5, 7, or 9, because 5, 7, and 9 are illegal on black dots, they're too naughty to go on them, and that's because, of course, if you put a 5, 7, or 9 on, if you halve 5, 7, or 9, you don't get valid Sudoku digits. And if you double them, you don't get valid Sudoku digits. So no 5, 7s, and 9s, no 1, 2, and 3. So that is 4, 6, or 8, which means this square.
I do have a deep love of cells that see a bunch of other cells, so that this is a very me sort of deduction. Like, that's really why I like, one of the reasons why I like Renbon so much is that Renbon let you do this kind of thing. And this is just a novel way to say, I know these digits are here, and they all look at this cell.
Is either 4, 3, 2, or 8. No, okay, that didn't work, did it? Oh, I was quite like that idea.
Simon is not wrong that is an important deduction, but he needs to know another thing before it is useful.
I don't really know how to pencil mark that yellow has to have 1, 2, and 3 in it. Oh, actually, so we can...
I do think that this is a very guessable that this was a zetamath puzzle. Like, I mean, I think even if you just look at the grid, I think it probably kind of looks like a zetamath puzzle. But then when you read the rules, I think this definitely has zetamath written all over it. That this would not be my submission to the I set a puzzle and try and get someone to incorrectly guess who said it puzzle.
Well, okay. So the other thing we could say about yellow is that it doesn't have... I mean, it could never have had an 8 here. Anyway.
It is true. If they got to see the title of the puzzle, that would really help, because there's clearly a zeta
this could be 6, 1, 2 adding up to 9. But if you put 7 on here, 7, 1, 2 would add up to 10, so that's not possible. But here we could have had an 8, couldn't we? Absent the funny rule, because this could be a 1, 8 pair adding up to 9. But now we can't do that, because if we did put a 1, 8 pair here, the minimum yellow would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. Which adds up to 18, which forces these to both be 9. So there is a very minor restriction.
Is he really going to pencil mark 1 through 7 in these cells? I'm here for it. I hope. And
there is a sort of...
It's going to turn out Simon's going to find a thing.
I'm meant to understand something about row 7, column 9, but I don't.
Going to find a thing that I definitely
highlight
did not
that
find.
cell, though. Just to remind me that it sees the whole of the arrow. Or the 2 arrows. Okay, let's turn our attention somewhere else then. We've got 8 thermo cells, we've got 8 Renban cells, and we've got 8 whisper cell. 8... Right, okay, I have a digit for you. I have a digit. Houston, we have a digit. The digit I'm going to place is a beautiful digit, actually, but it doesn't get a song. And it derives from some of the secrets I know, or the main secret about green lines. Right, so let's run through the secrets of green lines. Well, let's start off with how you get the digit. So the question we need to ask is, can you put 5 on a green line? And the answer to that is no, because if you do try and put 5 on the green line, the next digit is impossible, because it's got to be 5 different from 5. And if you go up, you get to 10 or higher, and if you go down, you get to 0 or lower, and they aren't Sudoku digits. So you can't put 5 on a green line. So that means that these green sort of L-shaped tetrominoes, because there are 8 cells, they are all the digits except 5. But that cell sees the entirety of this green line and that green line. So imagine we did make that a 1. Well, that's saying you can't put 1 on the green lines at all by Sudoku. But we know you can't put 5 on the green lines at all by Sudoku. So the 8 digits here would have to be selected from 7 different digits, and that will necessitate a repeated digit and break the rules of the puzzle.
So in the first version of this puzzle, when I first started setting it, the first thing I did was draw an L-shaped Renbon that looked like this, and then use the fact that the digit that wasn't on any of the Renbon had to be 1, 5, or 9, and then play around with the 1, 5, 9 there to sort of get stuff. And at some point I was like, this is way overcomplicated. I can just do this with German whispers and a 5 instead. So then I did that. Also, I think for whatever random reason, I think my Renbon were originally drawn around box 7. So there was some terrible alternate mirror universe where the break-in in a zetamath puzzle was in box 7, but you were saved from that. And from so I originally, I had it on a V or something, or sorry, on an X or something, I think is how originally this.
So I think that has to be 5, which is interesting. Now, what does that mean? Now. Well, is it something to do with, let's have a quick look at those 2 digits there. Because those 2 digits do have to find a home within box 1, don't they? And they can't go on the other green line or their own green line. So these 2 digits go in 2 of these 3 squares. But by symmetry,
I did color
those
this
2 digits
to see if it got me anywhere. Spoiler, I don't think this gets you anywhere.
In 2 of these 3 squares. That's telling me something. What is that telling me? That's telling me that... Oh, yeah, okay. So there's a different way of seeing that. Right, so this digit is perhaps easier to see.
It doesn't, I tried, says Calvin Paul.
Can't appear on this green line at all by Sudoku, can't appear in these squares at all, yet must appear on a green line somewhere. So that digit is in these 2 squares, this digit is in these 2 squares, and these 2
I don't think I ever noticed that.
Are the
it's
other of
true,
those 2 squares that is not the blue and whatever we were to make that colour. Let's give that one a colour. Oh no, purple's a terrible choice. Grey's probably not a very good choice. Let's make it orange. So orange is here in one of those 2, blue is here in one of these 2. And these 2 are the other of these that are not orange and blue.
It's good that we're using orange and blue for this in a German Whispers puzzle. I'm sure this is not going to lead to any disasters.
Let's continue working our way through the secrets of Whispers lines then. So, we've said that there's no 5 on a line. And that means that we can think of any digit along a Whisper line as having one of 2 properties. It's either below 5 or it's above 5. It's one of those 2 things. And the interesting thing is that whatever it is, its adjacent partners have to be the opposite. And you can see that because imagine this was 6, 7, 8 and 9. Let's consider this digit now. Can that also be from 6, 7, 8 and 9? Well, clearly not, because no 2 of these can be 5 apart.
I would probably solve puzzles 20% faster if I just knew what color to use.
Once you know what one of these is, you could sort of propagate along the line. There's this alternation in what we call polarity. So that's my second secret. The third secret is that there are 2 digits that are monogamous. They're exclusive. They exhibit exclusivity vis-a-vis German Whispers lines. And those are the digits 4 and 6. So if you think about 4, if this was 4... which actually it can't be, I now realise. If that's 4, yeah, that's interesting, actually. Sorry, I should complete my sentences before my brain sort of trips over itself. The reason that's interesting is that 4 is monogamous. It can only...
Yeah, Playmaker's saying that they can imagine some people struggling with the approach to this one. Yeah, the break in here threw some people. Like I think this ended up at 3 stars on LMD, but definitely the break in threw some people, and I can understand why, because you have to ask you have to knock on the right doors to figure out what it is you're supposed to do. And it's not perhaps that the questions to ask are hard, but you have to ask the right ones, because as Simon said right at the beginning, like this is an incredibly sparsely clued grid for like what you get are like little itty bitty whispers, Renbon, and thermos. So yeah, you have to figure out the right.
We have
right
one
thing.
partner next to it on a green line, because the only Sudoku digit that's at least 5 away from 4 is the digit 9. So if we did put 4 here, we'd have to put double 9 here. Now, ordinarily, this would be absolutely fine on a green line, because these 2 digits don't see each other
8
by
minutes
the
and
medium of
13
Sudoku.
seconds.
They're not in the same row, column,
That's
or box.
Logan Wall, I
but
think.
in this puzzle, that doesn't work, does it? Because there are now
Logan's
2
a
9s
regular
in green,
screen
which
viewer,
they're
I think.
expressly not allowed to be. The same is going to be true of 6. Whoopsie. Imagine that's 6, then that can only be partnered with 1. So what that means is that 6 and 4 are going to be at the ends of these lines. They're going to be in 2 of those 4 positions, which is... Okay, so that means that 1 and 9 on the green lines are going to be sort of internal to the line, because wherever we put the 4, I mean, imagine that's 4. That's going to have to be next to 9. So 1 and 9 are in 2 of these 4 squares, and 4 and 6 are in 2 of those 4 squares.
This is going to be a very important deduction after he makes the next deduction.
Right, so I suppose that the natural question then is, can we put 4 and 6 on the same line? That might be, well, annoyingly, that might be possible, because 4 and 6 are of different polarity, and therefore the alternation would work, wouldn't it? Let's just try that. Hang on, let me just have a look.
I think the most natural thing to notice to sort of get you started here, and there are a bunch of different ways to say it, but it's a real problem that these Renbon can't both have a 5. One of them has to have no 5. And that is a real problem with the German whispers. That's sort of, I think, the most natural thing to spot to sort of get into the puzzle, and then figure out what sequence of questions you need to ask to decide which Renbon it is that doesn't have a 5.
Look at that. So if we did 4 and 6 this, in fact, I wonder if this is exactly what we're meant to do. This would be 9, this would be 1. And that means... So this one would be 2, 3, 7, 8, which is actually probably fine. And the 4 and the 6 would be wiped off this line. Ah, but that geometry is different here. Gosh, I mean, that's interesting. That becomes very constrained, actually. If this was a 4-6 line, it wouldn't matter. Oh, well, it couldn't. It would have to be this way round. But what I'm seeing there is 6 now sees the whole of this Renban, and 4 sees the whole of this Renban, and yet this Renban, this little section of three purpliges here, that's got to be 3 consecutive digits that don't now include 4 or 6, so it would have to be 1, 2, 3, and it couldn't be 6, 7, 8. Because if it was 6, 7, 8, that square couldn't exist. So this would be 1, 2, 3. But this is all predicated on... This is all predicated on this being Well, it's all predicated on this being a 4-6 pair, which is total and utter nonsense. There is no reason to say that has to be a 4-6 pair. I was just interested in terms of whether you could put 4 and 6 on the same line, and it actually looks like you certainly could there, and it's probably easier to do it here. This one works a little bit differently, because if you did 4 and 6 this line, only this one sees the line, so it doesn't look like it's as powerful as effect. I don't think.
I'm curious which of the ways he's going to explain this.
Although I can see that can't be 1, 2, 3. This is not an extreme Rembrandt. That's really weird. Okay, so although this one looks like it's under more pressure because it's sort of the two ends of this look at it, and it's got this to interfere with it. This one, this is really weird. The geometry of this one is more powerful in a way. Let me show you what I mean. This can't be 1, 2, 3, or it can't. Whoopsie! It certainly can't be 0, 8, 9, but it can't be 7, 8, 9 either. Because what? Let's use 7, 8, 9 just to see the problem. If this is 7, 8, 9, we know that within a domino on a green line, we're going to have a digit that's lower than 5 and a digit that's higher than 5. Okay, so which digit do we include there that's higher than 5? And there's only one choice. It's going to have to be 6. But now which digit are we going to include there that has to be higher than 5? Well, there's only one choice. It's got to be 6. So there's a 6 repeating on the green lines, which is not allowed. So that is not extreme. If it was 1, 2, 3, it would work the same way, but with 4 going into those squares. So this Renban is not... Well, no, it's better. It's better because it can't be 6, 7, 8. That's so weird. It can't be 6, 7, 8 either. Because if it's 6, 7, 8, or indeed if it's 2, 3, 4, you get the same problem just with a different digit. Because now this has to have 1 on it, and this has to have 1 on it. That's so beautiful. It's so weird. I absolutely love that. So in fact, this, not only can it not have an extreme digit on it, it can't have a nearly extreme digit on it. So it can't have 9, but it also can't have 8. It can't have 1. It also can't have 2. So it's from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that means it's got 5 on it. This line has 5 on it, which means there's a 5 in one of those two squares.
The way Simon saw it is very similar to the way I thought about it. I think Ranks said it as this Renban sees 2 high digits and 2 low digits. So it can't, so there are 2 highs ruled off it and 2 lows that are ruled off it. So it can't have 1, 2, or 8, 9 because it sees a high here and a high here that are different and a low here and a low here that are different. So that was Rank's way of saying it, which I thought was a little better than my way of saying it, but Simon said it basically my way.
Which is, that's very underwhelming.
It's not, though.
It's got 5 on it. It's selected from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one hasn't got 5 on it now because we can't repeat 5 on Rembans. So this one is quite extreme. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, gosh. Oh, that's sick. This is, all right, this is absolutely beautiful. Oh, goodness me. This is really clever. Yeah, okay. So now we turn our attention to this one, which hasn't got 5 on it. And that means that it's either selecting itself from low digits like 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and it can be 3 of those, or it's selecting itself from high digits like 6, 7, 8, and 9. But if it was selecting itself from high digits So if it was 3 consecutive digits from 6, 7, 8 and 9, that is going to be a quadruple on 6, 7, 8 and 9. And what high digit are we going to put in this domino on the other green line? The answer is no, there isn't one available. So this cannot be high digits, and it must be low digits. Now, we don't know what low digits it is, but we do know it's from 1, 2, 3 and 4 now. And therefore, because it's consecutive digits, it's got 2 and 3 on it. So we know there's a fourth low digit, which is a 1 or a 4 on here. Well, if it's 4, it can't be there for the reasons we said. Well, many reasons, but that's going to cause double 9.
It's a very nice ball play. I did enjoy that movie a lot.
Oh, yeah, this is lovely. Oh, I think I said this, it may even have been as recently as yesterday, but some of the construction that we're seeing at the moment in Sudoku is so epically good. This is it's so gorgeous. I mean, if your brain is capable of creating these sorts of pyrotechnics in the grid, you are a gifted individual. You really are. Look, the point now is that digit cannot be a low digit anymore. This is going to give us the polarity of this line, because whatever's how can I show that? Let's do an example. If this doesn't have 1 on it, so if it's a 2, 3, 4 sequence, then we know there's a 1 in one of these two squares. But look at this digit now. By Sudoku, it sees the 2, 3, 4, and by green line logic, it can't repeat the 1. So it's not capable of being low anymore. And of course, if this was 1, 2, 3, and we put the 4 here instead, that's exactly the same. It still can't be low. So it's weird. It's weird, but it's beautiful. That means that's 6, 7, 8, or 9. Which
There's nothing more zetamath than a cell seeing an incredibly bizarre quadruple.
Which means this is 6, 7, 8, or 9. It's definitely not 6, by the way, because 6 is going to be double 1'd. These are both low digits. That's not 4 for the same reason that this can't be 6.
For what it's worth, this is exactly how I did it, Selena.
Because there's 2 or 3 on the line. So this is 1 or 4, but it could be 4 because it's not in the middle of the line. But it can't be 1. No. This is, again, it's incredibly good deduction. If this was 1, what digit? Well, if it's 1, where are you putting the 6 on the green line? That's the question. If we put 1 here, where should we put the 6? Because we've got to put 6 on the green line. But wherever we put the 6, it's going to be next to the 1, or a 1. And in this case, it's going to be a second 1, because there's definitely a 1 there if you put 1 there as well. We worked out at the start that 1 was an internal digit on the line, and 9 is an internal digit, because they are the digits that only get married to 4s and 6s. So this digit is a 4. That is a hard 1 digit. That is a hard 1 epic digit. Right, so that means...
Oh, I see. So Selena, I guess what Selena is saying is that Selena, rather than resolving high and low the way that Simon did with this whisper, resolved high and low by deciding this had to be a 4 or a 6 and it couldn't be a 6. Interesting. Yeah, I had not thought about that. I did it exactly the way that Simon did it here.
Means this is 9. It means this is not 9 now, because 9 can't repeat on the line. This is not a 9. I was about to try and put 1 on this, because that's what I normally do when I get an arrow circle down to 6, 7, or 8, but it's normally a 3-cell arrow. This is a 2-cell arrow, and that's quite a different beast. But hang on. If that's not 9, that can't be as low as 6 anymore, can it? Because we know these have to add up to at least 15. So this one has gone up in value, which is sort of a bit disappointing, actually. Right, now, okay, so now I'm going to turn my attention to this line, because this line here can't repeat a digit that's appeared on the other purple line. So it's got to have 6 on it, I think, which is going to knock 6 out of here. Because because this line can't be 3, 4, 5
okay.
anymore because we've already had 3. So it's at least
I now
4,
finally
5,
see
6.
how you know where the 6 goes.
And it's well, in fact, it's either 4, 5, 6 or it's 5, 6, 7. So it is quite restricted. That's definitely worth noting that down. And it's got 5 and 6 on it. This is not a 6. If that's not a 6... Oh, it's done. Oh, it's beautiful again. It's beautiful again. Because now the simple question is, where's 6 on the green lines? And it can't be here anymore. We know it's... We knew it was in one of those 4 squares. And it's no longer here because there's a 6 on this line. So it's there. So that's 6. That's 1. That's not 1. Total shank. That's not 1 anymore. We now know the polarity of this line, so this has got to be a 7 or an 8, I want to say. That's got to be a 2 or a 3. Oh, yeah. This is lovely again. I mean, this is an absolutely virtuosic, is that a word? Oh, I don't know. It probably is. But it is so clever what is going on here, because look now, these are not. I'm
glad
the
he
same
spotted
digit.
that right away.
They may look like they could be, but they can't because they're both on the green line. So one of these is a 7, and it's looking at that line. So that line has not got 7 on it anymore. This is 4, 5, 6, which means that line is now made up of only big digits. That's got to be from 7, 8, and 9. So it's got to have 8 on it. Actually, that's quite good. So it's got to have 8 on it. And that's because any consecutive, if you've got a pair of consecutive numbers, there's always going to be an odd and an even number in them. So we can see that the even number here must be 8. And that's looking here. So we take 8 out of here. But if we take 8 out of here, we've got to take 7 out of here. So this has gone up. This has gone down. Oh, no, hang on. That's got a 6 looking at it. That is just a 7. So this is now an 8, 9 pair. I've got an 8, 9 pair in the column. That's knocking 8 out of these squares. So this has come right down now to 4 or 6 here.
And now it can't be 4 anymore. I hope he does the math again now.
Can't be 4 anymore. I was looking at that thinking that feels wrong, and it is wrong. This can't be 4 because this can't be... Why couldn't that be 2, though? Oh, it can't be 2 because we worked out there was a 2 in one of those. Yes, okay, that was that. See, my green highlighting worked.
AFK, he did it because he knew the sum of the 2 arrow circles had to be bigger than 15. Or at least as big as 15.
Okay. But, okay, so these digits, they're either 15 or 16 now. Which means they all... Oh, this is it. That's it. Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. This has got to be a 6. Because if this is a 15, then the digits on here are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. One of them is a 4. Don't know where that goes, but it's looking at that, and that's stopping that being a 4. If this is 16, given the yellow digits all have to be different, they have to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Oh, which actually... Oh, sorry, I hadn't spotted that. That totally breaks the world. That totally breaks the world.
I had never noticed that broke the world.
If this is 9, because these are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, that cell simply could not exist in the puzzle.
I just noticed there just had to be a 4 in yellow.
And one of these is a 4, which means that is 6, which means this is 3. Oh, that works. That does work, because these digits have to be adding up to 8 without using 3. So that could be 1, 2, and 5. Over.
This was the joy of saving the arrows to draw in later, was I was able to figure out exactly how to draw the arrows in later to make it so that worked.
And that can be 3, 4 now. It has to be 3, 4, because I've effectively, by making these 15, I've made that into a quintuple, a triangular number for 5. This is spectacular. It's absolutely spectacular. If that's 8, I can do Sudoku. Oh, let's go back to this digit. What have I not used this digit for? Well, yes, I haven't used it. Well, I didn't really think to use it, to be honest. But It's always worth double-checking black digits, Simon. Yes, in fact, it would have been worth it over here. That's got to be a 6 now. 6 is in one of these squares. 6 is not there, because if that was 6, this would be a 6-3 black dot, and it would mimic its friend over there. What have we got left to put in here? 5 and 8? Can we do that? Don't know. That's a 5-8 pair, I think. 4, 5, 6. That's not 5. 5 in row 6 now is in one of those squares. I won't tell you how I got to that. It would seem you would think I was stark raving mad. All right, I will tell you. It's because I saw these as an X-wing rather than just... Well, no, that's fair enough, really. I mean,
it's a Zack wing.
That's how I saw it.
The classic Zack wing.
Okay, so what are we going to do now? We might have to turn our attention to...
That's right. I remember you starting ambiguity too.
I don't have to, actually.
Isaiah.
I can do Sudoku. Zeta, this is absolutely outrageous. You've just made me do a bit of Sudoku, and now I've got to do more Sudoku. Where is 8 in this box? And the answer is I don't know, but it's in one of those two squares. And now, where is 8 in box 1? And by Sudoku, it's in one of these 3, but it can't be here because there's an 8 looking at it. So that's 8. Which means by weird rules, that's 7. 7 can't go next to 3 because 7 and 3 are only 4 apart. Knowledge bomb.
So ABJ asked what a Zack wing is. A Zack wing is what I call it when you spot that a digit is restricted to the same 2 rows or columns in 2 boxes. So in this case, Simon spotted that 5 was in one of these 2 cells and 5 was in one of these 2 cells. I call that a Zack wing because often it's not actually 2 cells, especially with arrows. So often it's like these 3 cells and these 4 cells or whatever. But the point is that they're in the same 2 rows. So they place sort of the 5 in row 6 then gets forced over there. So like in this case, it is like, I will say technically an X-wing, but technically not an X-wing. But usually when I apply it, it's sort of a little bit more doing that. Yeah, Selena would say, yeah, then it's a mutant fish or something. Yeah, but it's sort of like noting that all the corner marks, which usually happens in a variant puzzle, end up happening because of that.
So that's got to be next to 2. That's got to be next to 3. So there is a 3 in one of these 2 squares.
Oh, I love that spelling, Tom. I had not thought of that before.
No 3s in the corner in this puzzle. Outrageous.
Calvin Doll calls it a fancy X-wing. I think it's actually a less fancy X-wing because all it's actually doing is it's letting you note, it's letting you find a restricted digit in a row or column that you could find in a sort of in a more direct way, but at least in my mind, it's never how I actually find it. I always find it the way that that Simon just outlined.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly as Manu says, it's just a hidden placement for the 5 in row 6. But unless I just exhaust looking at digits and rows and columns, I'm not going to see it that way. But I do see the Zack wings a lot of the time.
Think about that black dot in a moment because I'm noticing it hasn't got 2 on it.
I think I know what it is.
Do I just know then? It's just 4-8, isn't it? Is that wrong? No, that feels right. So what I'm noticing is if this is a 2, this black dot can't be now 1-2 or 2-4. And we know it can't be 3-6, so it is 4-8, and we've got a 4 here. So that's 4, that's 8, that's 8, that's 5. So that's 5 now within my 1-2-5 triple. And pregnant pause while I wait for my brain to tell me something. Brain, tell me something. Naughty brain. Brain got something. Well done, brain. 4. There must be a 4 on my 4-5-6 triple, so I can do that now. What does that mean? That means that we can write 8 in here, look, by Sudoku. So 8 is at the bottom of this, of column 4, but 8 presumably could go in the tip of the
that's what I think, Fallen Arm, is that it's just sort of like, it's just more natural to look at.
Well, that's interesting. If 8 doesn't go in the tip of a thermo, then there's no 8 anywhere possible on the thermos. So if this is 8, you've got to fill the thermos with the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9.
We're well on the way to
that's going to make that
to Simon doing it your way, Selena.
Believe it or not, because that's the only place 4 can go. This 4 locks this one out. Well, stops this thermo having 4 on it. That 4 stops that one having 4 on it. That 4 stops those 2 squares having 4 on it. But that's all very well. Where's 7 in column 9? That's a fair question. It's more Sudoku, but that's a 7, which means I get that digit. That digit's 4. That is going to be interesting, isn't it? I've now think I've got a 3-4 pair at the bottom of column 3, so presumably these squares are 2 and 9.
Well, at least Microstudy got my exotic triple to resolve the whole puzzle.
I'm sure they're resolved somehow. Hang on. Let's have a stare at that. 2, 9 pair. What have we not put in? Into... Oh, hang on. Yeah, can we... Yeah, where's... Oh, no, that doesn't work, actually. Maybe rather than me trying to do this by a complicated method, I'm going to note that 3 in the top row can go there.
Yeah, Kyle, the thing that I did, or the way I intended this to be resolved, is that if you do a little work on the thermos, this cell, and this cell, the bulbs of the 3 thermos are a triple that all look at this cell and make this cell a naked single. That was the thing that I had intended.
There, which makes this a 9, which makes this 2, which makes this a 7.
But Selena, and this is totally fair, noticed that 4 is the digit that's not on thermos, and if you notice that 4 is not the digit is the digit that's not on thermos, then you can just do it as a regular Sudoku at the end instead.
1, 3, and 9 into these squares.
And Simon has noticed that, but might have already forgotten it.
In the bulb of a thermo. We can't put 3 here by Sudoku. So if these are 1, 3, 9, what are these? 5 and something. 2. Well...
Oh, interesting. We'll see if he uses it.
Don't know. That seems a perfectly reasonable digit. Oh, that makes this a 1. So that's a 1, that's a 2, that's not 2 anymore. And these 2 squares are 7 and 9. Now, what about this one? Yes. No. I don't. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to revisit my earlier thought processes. My thought process there, it went, 7's interesting on thermos because you can't put 8 on thermos, can you? And then I was like, oh, but didn't I remember something about 4 when I put the 4 in the corner here? And yes, I did. I got carried away with, of all things, Sudoku. But when we put this 4 here, now that couldn't be a 4 on this thermo. So there's nowhere for 4 on any thermo. So it's not 8 that's missing from the thermometer digits. There are 8 thermometer digits. The digit that's missing is the digit 4. So we have to put 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the thermos. Where's the 8 on the thermos? It's got to go here. But that now has triggered another thought for me, which is where does 7 now go on thermos? Because if we look at box 5, 7 is definitely not on the thermo. This 7's knocking it off this thermo. So 7 is on this thermo, which means that's 7, that's 9. So 7 in one of those 2 squares. Bother. Don't know what that's doing. Probably some,
I'm sure someone in the comments is already typing a comment, Playmaker.
The answer is I don't know exactly, but it's certainly in those. It's in one of these 2 squares. So these 2 squares are 1 and something, 4. We've got loads of 4s though. That's 4. That's 1. How many 4s have we got? Oh no, not as many as I thought. 4 is in a domino here, and 4 is in a domino here. So we've got a sort of X-wing that's probably not resolved. So the way that we're going to get at this X-wing is using that 3. So that's a 3, that's a 4, that's a 4. 1 and something are there. Can we do that? Can we get the other digit? Well, yes, we can in a way. It's this digit, isn't it, that's going to appear down here, because it's not in any of these squares. So these are from 1, 2, and 5. Oh, that's not even intelligent, what I've just said. Right. So it's pro 2 here. That's 9.
He found it.
Let's do some Sudoku. 5, 6, and 7 into these squares. Let's put that in. That's not 7. That's not 6. So these must be 1, 2, and 8. That's not 8. Bother. Okay. I've got that feeling I'm about to get stuck. It probably is the thermos, which probably I do need to pencil mark, but you know me. I'm not as comfortable jumping down that route as certain other people who appear on this channel might be. Okay.
Well, I do think it would be fun to make a version of this puzzle with just different colors of thermos.
Should we go first? Should we do the bulb of this one? 2, 3. They seem fine. 5, 6, 7. 7 is impossible. We've had 7 already on the thermo. If this is 6, that has to be not 7 or 8. That would have to be 9. Have I had 9 on the thermos? No. No, in fact, that's a very good question. Where is... Oh, it's such an obvious question. At the moment we didn't get 4, we knew 4 was off the thermo, we should have said where are 1 and 9 on the thermo, shouldn't we? Because they have to then appear. 9 can only ever appear in the tip of a thermo. And this one, this 8, has sort of usurped the possible position of 9. So that is a 9. Which, oh yeah, no, that's doing things. So that's a 9 now. So 9 is placed here because 9 definitely can't go in the bulb of the thermo. That's 9. Right, these digits are from 1, 2, 5, and 8, I think. And don't we know that there's a 1 in there. So this is 2, 5, and 8. Bother.
He really doesn't want to pencil this other thermo.
How has that affected this digit then? We were thinking through whether that could be 6, weren't we?
Like, so the intended thing, I think he's going to skip this, is that this bulb can only be 1 or 2, and that in a weird roundabout way means that this cell is a 5. Because if this cell was a 2, these would be 2 and 1 and would leave this bulb with no value. That was my intended way of sort of making it through this.
Which it might be able to be.
But before pencil marking 4 digits into random cells without clues, I had pencil marked the thermos, which I really appreciate his effort not to do here.
Oh, I don't know. Let's look at the bottom row. 1, 2, 5, and 6. We can certainly get rid of. Right, that's 5 or 6. It can't be 2, and it definitely can't be 1 in the middle of a thermo. So there's a 5, 6 pair. This is a 1 or a 2.
Okay, maybe he will get there.
Okay, that's interesting for that digit.
Okay, yeah.
Because if that's a 2, that's a 1, and we've then used up 2 and 1 on thermos, and that's going to break this square. So that square's 5. That square's 2. This is a 1, 5 pair. This is not. This is something different.
Yeah, he got that instantaneously. I don't know how he got that so fast.
5. Oh, lovely. So 5 has now appeared on a thermo. So that digit is now a 6. It's not going to resolve this one, but it is a 6. That's a 6. That's
okay.
A 5.
We'll see if he now finds the triple.
6 has come out of this square. So this is
now
the
we
6
have the triple
in box number 5. That's a 7. That's a 7. That's a 3. Here we go. This is 1. 2, 3 pair. That's annoying. Oh.
He's going to do both the zeta way and the
Stop
Selena way.
writing checks my brain can't cache. Ah! What? 5 can't go there. What's this column? Is it 1? No, it's not 1 and 3 that it needs. It's 1 and 7. Oh, where's 7 in column 5? Has that been available for ages? I don't know. I've only just seen it. This is not 7. Oh, 7's got to go there in this box now. That 6 is very useful. 6, 5.
I don't know if it's the most outrageous naked single. I
One,
think,
two,
at least of
five,
my
and
puzzles, I think
for
the
this
two
square,
truths and a lie naked
right,
single is the
that's
most
got
egregious.
To be 1, 2, or 5 then. So this must be 1, 2, or 5. That's weird. I thought that was definitely going to be resolved. These squares are... Oh, here we go. I've actually ended up in a fully pencil mark grid, which is not where I like to be.
Yeah, so now we have the naked
right,
single.
Okay, what have I not used here? I've not used the thermos. I've got 1s, 2s, and 3s. That's right, though, isn't it? Because I've got... So I know there's no 4, so I should have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, I do. I've got 2, 3 pairs here, but that's different clues. Oh dear, so it's going to be Sudoku now. There is going to be some little rinky-dinkage that we have to spot. And the rinky-dinkage we're going to spot is in...
Yeah, he does keep clicking the cell and keeps then not noticing.
Oh, I see it. I see it. Right. Ah, right. This is absolutely beautiful. This is like
okay,
the
good.
icing.
He found it.
This is like the icing on the icing on the chocolate cake, which was already delicious. Look. Those 3 squares are... remember that they can't repeat a digit, so they are a triple of 1, 2, and 3. So let's have a look at this little square, which we will award the great colour of purple, and ask whether it can be a 1, 2, or a 3. It can't be, because whatever you put into this square, if it was a 2 or a 3, it would be saying none of the bulbs can be
Ricky,
2 or 3, and one of them needs to be in order to make our thermos work. So that square is a 5. Pregnant pause. Well, that... has that not done it either? That... no, okay, so I've now got a 2. Yes, that has done it, look, because now that's 1, that's 3, so that can't repeat the 3. That's 2, that's 3, that's 3, that's 2. This is 5. Oh, and because we've had 2 on a bulb, we can't have another 2 on a bulb.
Yeah, row 2
so
column
that
4, I
does
guess, is like lets you use
That's
sort of like a corner
2
march
in the
3
corner.
instead of a triple.
Okay, this...
Which makes sense. Yeah, this is a naked single actually from very, very early. I think much before you filled in all of that. If you
I think it is going to work. 1, 5. Yes, it has worked. We finished, I think. Yes. Absolutely world class. 190 people. Oh, it's quite old, this puzzle. 23 days. It's been around for the best part of a month. And, well, zetamath, again. I think I say this every time I do one of your puzzles, take a bow, because that is so ridiculously off the scale clever. And what's clever about it, there are many things that are clever about it, but one of the things that's clever about it is the opening sequence is so sublime. You can feel the way that the digits sort of click into place, and the way this line and this line are, they have different effects on the green lines they're next to.
Thank you, Tom. And yeah, I thought that was a very good solve.
But those different effects are sort of necessary to unlock the magic that can complete the puzzle. The fact that the fact that this one sees those 2 dominoes was absolutely pivotal. But then the way that worked was to...
And Carl.
It's even as I think through it again now, it's so gorgeous that put 5 on that, and it's this circle having to be high is pivotal because it stops this having high numbers on it, and that not having high numbers on it then has this exquisite effect on this square by forcing it to be high, and that then unlocks another chain of deductions. It would be very hard, I think, to imagine a more perfect positioning of clues than these. Just take these out of the puzzle. If you could just if you make a tiny little video showcasing just this effect, it is quite gorgeous to me, at least. Loved that. Let me know in the comments whether you had a go, and let me know if you found if you sort of jaw dropped at the same moments. Zetamath, fantastic. Loved it. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.
Thank you, Simon. That was a very wonderful solve. But yeah, as so often happens, Simon very often follows like exactly verbatim what I intended, and basically Simon did almost verbatim what I intended with this puzzle. And so greatly appreciate it. Much love to Simon and to all of you. And thank you for all the kind words in chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, I was really happy with how this one came together. Second time's the charm, apparently. But yeah, so thank you, everyone. I'm going to go off and solve some student puzzles now, and make a video for the students of me solving their puzzles. So I'm going to sign off, but thank you everyone for watching. If you're new around here, I saw some new names. Please subscribe. We do stream on a very regular basis. And I do always do these when Simon or Mark do my puzzles. So I will happily, I will happily do one when it happens again. Fingers crossed that it happens again. But thank you so much, everyone. But that's all for now. I'll see you on my next stream is Sunday. So if you want to watch me on Sunday, and yes, do please like the stream if you have not. Greatly appreciated to those who do so. And I'll see you all hopefully very soon. But thanks for watching. Yeah. I mean, Mark did Jello earlier this year. That was only like my third Mark solve, I think. Third? Yeah, no, fourth. That was my fourth Mark solve. It's funny, actually, my first two Cracking the Cryptic features were both Mark, including one that was like a very, very Simon. I guess that was last year. That was last year, right? Because now it's only 2024. Yeah, that. But yeah, my features went Mark, Simon, Mark, and then 30 Simons in a row, and then now Mark, Simon. Anyway, thank you all for watching. And as I said, have a good night, and I hope I'll see you on the stream on Sunday. Bye for now.